Today's video is sponsored by my patrons on my Patreon page at Mignon Cobra TV. If you wish to help out my channel, consider checking out the link below. Thank you.
Hey there, my handsome and pretty little Cobras, and welcome back to the Cobras Nest. For those of you who are new, my name is Mignon Cobra and I make minimalism videos. Today's minimalism video is going to be I suck as a YouTuber, and here are 5 things that I learned about being persistent, not perfect. So without further ado, let's just get into the video. Let's get it, let's go. Woo! I want to preface this video before we get started. I've been doing YouTube videos for about 4 years. I think seriously doing videos for about, 2020 till now. And I just want to say that I have probably been a really terrible YouTuber. There was a lot of times where my progress left me depressed and I fell down and I just didn't want to get up. So in a journey of 4 years, how many times I had to pick myself up and keep going even in the face of no success? Through this, I've actually learned to be really resilient. At the very least, I have become very thick-skinned and very persistent, and I wanted to share these 5 tips with somebody because I don't think that we all garner success overnight like most people would have us believe. So here are the 5 tips to get back up when you've fallen down. Number 1. We all fall down. Don't let anybody on social media tell you that they don't fall down. I've seen a lot of YouTubers after they garner success release videos of where they film themselves talking about something and they would break down in the videos crying or like, why am I doing this? Like, oh God, I can't do this anymore. But they don't want to show you that because we don't want to show our vulnerability. We don't want others to know that we're not doing well because of our ego, because of our pride. And that's something that helped me get through some of the hard times, was that not to be so self-centered, thinking, oh, I'm the only one who falls down. We all fall down. And knowing that, not that that's like, oh, misery loves company. I'm not trying to say that, but just the idea that like, it's okay to know that if you fell down, you can pick yourself up because others have fallen down in worse ways than you have. And we need to be strong. I needed to be strong and get back up. All right, number 2, trying to be perfect so you never started. Okay, so let me be real. I actually wanted to be a YouTuber many years before I started my channel. I think if I had started when I wanted to, I would definitely be in a different place than I am now. And the reason that I didn't want to start was because I needed to be perfect before I started. I still needed to lose the last 10 pounds. I needed to be richer. I needed to be more successful before I got on YouTube and just started the damn thing. And I think that the worst thing that we can do is never starting because we're waiting for a perfect moment. We're never going to be perfect ever in our entire lives, so you might as well start. And that's some advice that I would give to myself that I think I can give to somebody else. If you're waiting for a perfect moment or the right time to start something, there never is going to be, so you might as well just start. Number 3, it's how we get up. One of the things about falling down is this idea that, okay, so you fell down, but how do we get up? And that practice of finding techniques and coping mechanisms to help pick us up when we fall down is part of growing thicker skin. I have fallen down so many times and I have had bad coping mechanisms throughout the years, but at least I had some coping mechanisms, and it's okay to go through certain coping mechanisms that are not necessarily the greatest. There was a period of time in my youth before I became a minimalist, and one of my coping mechanisms was to go out shopping. I mean, it wasn't really healthy for my financial state, but hey, it was a coping mechanism. But figuring out healthier coping mechanisms throughout your journey is a good way to learn how to get up. I think that the most important thing is that you don't give up. It's how you get up. It doesn't matter if your coping mechanism isn't the greatest. Throughout time, you're going to develop better coping mechanisms. So my current coping mechanisms now is I go for a run and I exercise, or I write down in my journal how I'm feeling. I try gratitude. I try to reframe or have a different perspective on the situation so that I can get back up again. Something that I learned from Dave Ramsey is that as long as you don't lose hope, you haven't lost. It's when you lose hope that people die inside. So whatever it is, you must protect your hope, and that is the thing that will continue to get you up. It isn't really motivation, but it's rather the hope. So protect your hope and nourish it as best as you can and develop good coping mechanisms. Number 4, if you stop, that will be the failure that defines you. There's been plenty of times where I just fell down and I would just tell Will,
that's it, I'm done. Like this is the point where I'm done and I don't want to do this anymore.
And Will tell me, if you stop right now, this is where it ends. Is this where you want it to end? So Will ask me, this YouTube journey, is this really where you want it to define you? There's no shame in falling down and accepting failure and moving on. And there's plenty of things that I've tried in my life that I did for many years and decided that this is where it ends, and it wasn't failure because it's just something that I just didn't want to do anymore. But from failures, we do learn things, and you can stop at some place and you can let that be the failure that defines you, or you can take it as a lesson to learn and to continue on and do things with this lesson that you have learned. So in terms of my YouTube channel, there's plenty of times where I thought like, okay, I have kind of more or less failed. What am I supposed to do now? Instead, I try to think what worked and what didn't and learn from it. And that's what I've been doing with my YouTube channel. Yes, I know it's been a really long and annoying process, but I just didn't want to fail. And I just thought if I quit here, like I stopped with my YouTube channel, I just let it die and never came back, that's where I would remember that that's where I stopped. But I don't want my life to be like that. So you don't quit and you continue on and you learn from what worked and what didn't. Failure has not occurred. You've just learned the lesson. And number 5, keep persisting in your own lane. Essentially what this means is don't compare yourself to the journey of others. There's so many people that I kept comparing myself to, and it only got worse as time went by. Like I kept thinking like there's younger people who've had garnered way more success than I ever have. Like what am I doing? Like when you're young, you're still filled with the possibilities of who you can become. But as time goes by, it's kind of like a brain that goes in the other opposite direction. Your potential becomes less and reality becomes more like who you've actually become. It gets filled up and there's less of who you could be and as opposed to who you actually are. And sometimes the reality of that is really heavy. It was very heavy for me throughout my 20s, seeing who I was becoming and not reaching the standard or expectation of who I thought I wanted to be or who I should be was really difficult. I had to persist in my own lane. I had to stop looking at what others were doing and look in my own lane and be like, compared to who you used to be, have you made progress? Have you improved? Have you been intentional with your progress? And if the honest truth is that yes, I have done the best that I could with what I have, I really had no reason to be comparing myself to others. I was not living in their shoes. I didn't have the same resources as them. I didn't have the same mindset as them. They lived their life and they are not me and I'm not them. So to compare myself to them is just a useless habit. It's like counting others' money doesn't make me richer. Let's look at it as inspiration. If it can motivate you in a positive way, then yeah, take a look at others. But if it's starting to make you sick and it's starting to make you jealous, my recommendation is, and this is something that I had to do, is to stop looking at them. If it's dragging you down, it's not a useful thing to do. The journey of others should be there to motivate you and to teach you things in a faster way so that you don't have to do it yourself. You can learn from others' mistakes, but it shouldn't be there as like a metric on which to compare yourself against so that you feel like shit, so that you end up doing nothing at all. As usual, if you wish to help out my channel, consider checking out my Patreon, and if not, then just help me out with the algorithm by giving this video a subscribe and a like. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye!